Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking on a little book that holds, well, some pretty big influence. A corporate parable you've probably heard about, maybe even had assigned to you at some point.
Oh, definitely.
We are diving into Dr. Spencer Johnson's slim yet legendary text, Who Moved My Cheese?
It's one of those books that I think everyone feels like they understand because the story is so simple, but the application of it, that's where people really, really resist.
So that's our mission today.
Exactly. Our mission is to just cut right to the core psychological wisdom here. We want to show you exactly how these principles work, no matter how complex your own maze feels.
Okay, so let's unpack that setup. The whole story is built on these two simple but really essential metaphors.
Right.
It all happens in a maze, and the characters are all looking for cheese.
Precisely. And let's make sure we're sharp on those definitions. The cheese is, it's whatever you want out of life. It's your goal.
So in a work context, that's the promotion, the salary, maybe just job security.
Right. Or successful product. But outside of work, it could be your health, a relationship, or just peace of mind.
And the maze is where you look for it. It's not just a place.
Not at all. It's your company, your community, your family. It's the whole environment you're operating in. And the core conflict is just that the cheese is always moving.
And your job is to keep up.
And to do that, Johnson gives us these four characters, these four archetypes. And what's so fascinating is that they aren't really four different people. They're meant to be the four parts of us when we face a big change.
We swing between all of them.
We do. From that simple mouse-like instinct to, much more complex human emotions.
So let's start with the mice, Sniff and Scurry. They're just pure instinct, right? No overthinking.
And that's their greatest asset, frankly. Sniff is what the book calls the detector. His whole job is foresight. He's sniffing out change early.
So he's noticing the cheese supply is getting a little low. Maybe it tastes a bit old.
Exactly. He's anticipating the shift before it becomes a full-blown crisis.
And his partner, Scurry, is the doer.
The doer. As soon as Sniff smells trouble, Scurry just goes. He scrambles into action.
They literally grab their running shoes and head back out into the maze. No meetings, no debate.
Just immediate action. They minimize that gap between knowing something needs to change and actually doing it.
Okay, then you have the little people, Hem and Haw. And this is where it gets complicated.
This is where the human stuff comes in. Fear, ego, denial, all of it. Hem is the resistor.
He is completely locked into the past.
Completely. He's terrified that any change is going to be for the worse, so he just denies it's even happening. He gets angry, feels like it's an injustice.
And then there's Haw. He's the adapter, and he's really the hero of the story, in a way.
He is, because he's the one we can all relate to. He starts off resisting, just like him. That's a very normal reaction.
But he learns.
He learns. His whole journey is about figuring out how to adapt, often painfully. But he shows that moving forward leads to something better. His evolution is, it's the whole point of the book.
Which brings us right to the plot, the crisis.
Right. All four of them find this massive supply of cheese at a place they call Station C. They've made it. They can stop running.
And that's the trap, isn't it? The success, especially for Hem and Haw.
Absolutely. That's the danger of complacency. They completely stopped paying attention. They built their whole lives around Station C, and they started to feel entitled to it.
They thought it would be there forever.
They confused that comfort with security. But the mice, they never really stopped monitoring things. They noticed the supply was dwindling.
So they weren't surprised when the moment hits.
Not at all. One morning, everyone shows up, and the cheese is just gone.
And Sniff and Scurry, they basically shrugged. They expected it. They were already mentally packed.
They laced up their running shoes, and they were gone, back in the maze. They accepted the loss and prioritized action.
But Hem and Haw, they were devastated.
Shattered. Their whole world just fell apart. Hem has that iconic line, right? He just screams, "Who moved my cheese?"
Pure rage. And they just stay there at the empty station for days.
Wasting time, getting hungry or angry or just stuck in this complete denial that the game has changed.
And that inertia, that refusal to let go, that's the real cost of being a Hem.
Is.
So what breaks the spell for Haw? What gets him to finally move?
It's a conscious choice, a shift from self-pity to self-awareness. After days of just starving and being afraid, Haw finally has this realization that the cheese isn't coming back.
And staying put is worse than going out there and facing the unknown.
Far worse.
Yeah.
And the critical moment is when he manages to laugh at himself. He sees how foolish, how absurd his paralysis has been.
I love that because it's so true. That ability to laugh at your own stubbornness, that's what unlocks you. It's the prerequisite for taking action.
Absolutely. And once he decides to move, His journey becomes the guide for the rest of us. He starts writing his realizations on the walls of the maze.
The handwriting on the wall.
Exactly. He's coaching himself, and he's leaving a trail for him just in case he ever decides to follow. And these 7 little sayings are the philosophical core of the whole book.
Okay, so let's slow down and walk through these, because this is the stuff you really need to apply to your own life, your own maze.
The first one is the baseline, the foundation. Change happens, they keep moving the cheese. It's just about acceptance. You don't have to like it, but you have to accept that it's reality.
Predictability is an illusion.
It is. And once you accept that, you can move to the second point, which is preparation. Anticipate change. Get ready for the cheese to move. You can't wait for the crisis to start making a plan.
You have to be ready beforehand, like the mice.
Which requires constant work. That's lesson number 3. Monitor change. Smell the cheese often, so you know when it is getting old. It's about continuous vigilance.
So if you're in business, you're not just looking at this quarter's profits. You're looking for the little cracks, the signs of market erosion.
Right. Or if you're a professional, you're constantly upskilling. You're watching the trends that could make your job obsolete in 5 years. You don't wait until the software you've mastered is discontinued.
You learn the replacement ahead of time?
Exactly. Which brings us to number 4, which is all about speed. Adapt to change quickly. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy new cheese.
Inertia kills. You think about companies like Blockbuster.
The classic example. They held on to their old cheese, the physical stores, for way too long while Netflix was busy creating the new cheese. Speed is everything.
Then number 5 is the cure for that paralysis. Change. Move with the cheese. It's just a reminder that any forward action is better than staying stuck.
Even if you don't know the perfect next step, just moving, just re-entering the maze, creates its own momentum.
The 6th one is a mindset shift. Enjoy change. Savor the adventure and enjoy the taste of new cheese.
And this was huge for Ha. He realized that if he could reframe the scary journey as an exciting adventure, he could beat his fear. It's the difference between surviving and thriving.
And the last one, number 7, brings it all full circle. Be ready to change quickly and enjoy it again. They keep moving the cheese.
It's a loop. This is a continuous cycle. Finding the next station isn't the end of the game. You never get to retire your running shoes.
So what's the reward for Ha? He does all this work. He overcomes his fear. What does he find?
He finds Station N, and it's filled with more variety, more quantity. The cheese actually tastes better than the old cheese at Station C ever did.
And Sniff and Scurry are already there, of course.
Of course, already feasting, which is the real lesson. Change doesn't just promise that you'll be okay. It promises growth. The new cheese is often so much better.
Okay, so let's connect this back to our lives. Because Ha's journey brings up some really big themes.
I think the biggest one is this idea of fear versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
Ha built up this monster in his head while he was sitting at Station C.
The fear of the unknown. The fear of failure.
And it was debilitating. But the actual challenge of navigating the maze, it was manageable. It wasn't nearly as bad as the fear he had imagined.
It's like today with fears around, I don't know, AI disruption. The fear of being replaced stops people from even starting to learn the new tools.
Yes. And those new tools are what's creating the new Station N. That fear is the real constraint. But what about the argument that the maze isn't always fair? You know, sometimes you want to be a Ha, but there are real-world constraints. Politics, lack of resources.
That's a great point. You can't always just run.
You can't. The real world is way more complex. But the power of the fable, I think, is that it focuses on your internal locus of control. The decision to be a Ha, to see your own resistance, laugh at it, and mentally start the search. That's always available to you.
No matter the external situation.
Right. Hem is stuck, not just because the cheese is gone. He's stuck because he refuses to change his own internal story.
And that's his tragedy, that inability to let go of the past. He's so obsessed with what should be that he can't accept what is.
He'd rather be right than be successful.
And when you map this to an organization, you see these characters everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. The book ends with a discussion about this. The Sniffs are the visionaries, seeing the trends. The Hems are the ones blocking progress, always talking about how we've always done it.
So the core lesson here, for you listening, is that the most successful people are the ones who can learn to Ha.
Yes. They can recognize their own fear, override that initial inertia, and choose to move. In a world that's constantly changing, that adaptability is the single most important skill for success.
It's not just about managing loss, it's about chasing growth.
That's the final thought, really. Ha didn't just find a replacement for his cheese. He found better cheese, more variety, more of it. So the lesson isn't just to accept change. It's to pursue the growth that it makes possible.
So the question for you is, when your cheese inevitably moves, a career changes, a relationship shifts, whatever it is, which character do you become first? Do you default to being a Sniff, anticipating it? Or are you a Haw, knowing you have to fight that internal resistance to get moving?
And maybe a final thought to build on that. If him stays back at Station C, forever angry about what he lost, what is the new cheese in our own lives that we are resisting? What new skill or opportunity or even relationship are we avoiding just because we're too attached to an old supply that isn't even there anymore? Something to think about as you navigate your own maze this week.